My husband's obsession with Freemasonry has been tearing apart our marriage, but I just found out he hasn't even been a member for years. Hi there. The long and short is that for about 6 years now, my husband, 34 meters, has been a Freemason, and I, 35F, have always supported him on this. My grandfather was a Freemason, so it's not really new to me or anything, and I don't believe in any of the conspiracy crap you find online. But I'm starting to think it may not be the best for him. My grandpa always used to say it went family, work, masonry, but in my husband's case, it's more masonry, 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 then family, then work, then masonry again. He attends lodge nearly every night. For context, my grandpa would go a couple times a month, and yet he's only a fellow crafts, so not a part of the add-on things like the Scottish Rite or Shriners or anything. I genuinely don't know how he has the stamina for it because I'm a part of an improv theater club, and frankly, every other week is enough. Sometimes he's gone for hours. Other times an hour or even less. When I ask him what he's doing, he gets defensive and says he can't tell me because he has to maintain secrecy. I knew full well there'd be some lessons and ceremonies I wouldn't exactly be getting a front row seat for, but I don't think it's that unfair. I asked what he could be possibly doing that occupies him practically daily. Hell, some days when he comes back early, he goes to his man cave to do more work for them. Apparently, he's volunteered to do admin work for his Grand Lodge, but, when does it end? He doesn't get paid for any of this and he spends so much on dues to actually do this. I've even tried to get involved via the Order of Eastern Star, something I've always wanted to be a part of, but he point-blank shut it down and said that we can only look into that when he becomes a Master Mason, which is apparently still years away. And it's not even just our marriage it's affecting. Some weeks he's out so late with his lodge buddies that he doesn't take care of himself. There's been times he hasn't worn clean clothes or shaved, and plenty of times he's gone into work without showering. Sometimes he doesn't even go into work and just calls in hours late to say he's been called for urgent lodge business. His boss is too good to him and lets it slide because he's genuinely blown away that my husband's in the Masons and thinks these meetings must be dead important. I get a lot of these guys are going to be retired, but Jesus Christ, surely they have to know how it works. It's making a bad impression with people, and I genuinely can't remember the last time we did a thing together as a couple. Plus, our bedroom has been dead for at least a year, which I've sort of put up with because I have a low libido, but I guess it's just another symptom. Every time I ask him to do anything, he just tells me he's too tired. I guess how do I get it across to him? His Masonic life needs to slow down. It's not even affecting just me. It's affecting our whole lives, but I don't even know where to begin. I don't want him to leave the Masons, just maybe calm it down a little so we have our lives back. How can I get this across to him without seeming that I'm jealous of the secrets or I want to worsen the wedge between us? By the way, I did actually email the worshipful master at his lodge. Just say I'm kind of worried for him, but I've not heard back yet. And if they're all this active, not sure how much help he'll be. Thanks for any advice. Edit later that day, the worshipful master just emailed me. Apologize for taking his time and explain my husband has not been a member of that lodge for at least 5 years, having left just under a year after he joined. Apparently, he had difficulties with the leadership and had been repeatedly cautioned for soliciting the other lodge members. He told me that he checked with other lodges in the area, and none of them have any record of him switching. So it seems he'd admitted entirely. Update. 5 days later. Hi, everyone. You might remember the post where I mentioned how Freemasonry, or rather my husband's commitment to it, was destroying our marriage and corroding his life. Well, I apologize to the craft because Masonry had nothing to do with my husband's antics. In my edit to the post, I mentioned I had spoken with the current worship poolmaster, basically the lodge's chair, and he informed me my husband had admitted from that lodge years ago and never joined any others. He did suggest it could be a clandestine lodge, and in a way, I hope this would be the case, but I think we both knew that was highly unlikely. He also ended up putting me through to a past master who was senior warden of a lodge around the time my husband quit, and apparently, it was a jump before he was pushed situation. I did mention my husband was in trouble for soliciting his brothers, but the worshipful master couldn't tell me anymore. The past master vaguely remembered it, and while it seems no one was exactly sure what he was soliciting them about, it was described as invasive and strange behavior. Me and the past master, David, might as well use names, had a good long chat before he offered to join me in discussing this with my husband, Kevin, with the hope being we could get through to him and steer him off whatever course he was on. Sadly, I don't have good news. David came round on Monday, and we talked a lot beforehand. Kevin was out, of course. Most of our chat was just him being generally supportive, but he did start asking questions that were definitely leading into the clandestine lodge route, though he dropped that as a theory when the lack of self-care became evident. Midway through our conversation, Kevin comes home, and when he comes in, I say there's somebody I'd like him to meet, and he just deflects by saying he's tired from lodge and will have to do it tomorrow. David introduces himself anyway, explicitly as a past master. Kevin ignores him but then goes through to the kitchen, pours himself a glass of milk and starts scrolling through his phone at the kitchen table. We went through and sat down at the table too, so without a word he got up and went into the living room. So we followed him there where David said we know he's not attending lodge because he was the senior warden when my husband left. Kevin does this weird laugh and says, "So it's a crime to move lodges then?" David says no other lodge in the area took him on, and Kevin goes a little bit red before saying that's because he switched to PHA and then sort of insinuates David is racist for taking issue with that. David says he spoke to all the PHA lodges in the area too, and he's good friends with a lot of their members, so he knows he's lying again. Kevin just says, "Look, he's tired. He's not doing this, but I told him we know something's up and, well, the majority of you thought it was so I just said, look, is it?" He said no, but finally admitted yes. There was something up and asked if he could show us something. Just he needed to go to his car. David said, "That's fine. We'll come with him." Well, I guess in Kevin's defense, he did need to go to his car. In the trunk, he got out this black sports bag, and I didn't know what I was expecting, but I don't think anything could have prepared me for what he showed us was inside. When we got back into the house, he got out this near lifelike latex horse mask and other leather and latex gear, full suit with harnesses and everything. If you were expecting anything to happen, there wasn't anything. We kind of just stared in total silence. Eventually, Kevin restarted the conversation by explaining he was into a BDSM called pony play and that he went down the rabbit hole a long time ago. I won't really go into the full details, but long and short is he's clearly been dealing with homosexual feelings and submissive desires for a long time, though he's still in denial about both of them and is adamant he's not bi or gay, 100% straight, etc. Obviously, he's at least, and most probably, bi, but he wouldn't hear it. Anyway, he explained when he was really struggling with these feelings, the urge as he calls it, that's when he joined Freemasonry because he hoped it would prove a distraction, help improve, etc., and then sort of implied being around old men would put him off guys. I could tell David was a bit offended, but he didn't say anything. But, yeah, apparently, this is what the soliciting was about. Obviously, joining the Masons didn't make these feelings go away, so he said he initially started trying to see if any of them felt those feelings too, but no one would bite. Apparently, midway through, he discovered the pony play rabbit hole on a BDSM website and was utterly hooked. This is when his soliciting went from, "Hey, I'm having these feelings towards guys, this is totally normal. Right, brother?" to, "Hey, are you looking to buy a pony, brother?" He claimed he didn't leave because he was being disciplined, but because of how goddamn prudish everyone was. Yeah, apparently, he was already deep into the hole, and while he'd be attending lodge a couple times a month legitimately, the other times were him doing the BDSM stuff. Apparently, it began with boards, but eventually, he graduated to pro-doms because too many of them found it weird or weren't into it enough. There's one main one he goes to the most, called Mistress Candy, but when she's busy, he'll go to other ones. And if that's not an option, he'll go find a cheap hotel to self-care or do it with an online mistress. Oh, there's a lot of them apparently, and that was how he got into Find EMS, where the whole thing is he gives them money for nothing in return. I don't really know how to describe how I felt as this all came out. The shock, the betrayal, the rage, the upset, the hurt. I suppose I feel quite numb now, but none of it could have prepared me for what he did next. David said, "So you've been having an affair then and using the craft as cover?" Kevin got very angry and said he's not been having an affair. This sparked an argument, again, won't go into the details, where Kevin's excuse was that at no point was he in control during this because Mistress Candy made use of hypnosis to control him, and sometimes the urge was so powerful it would have him shift him into Sparkles, his pony persona, involuntarily. He didn't use this as an example, but I guess it's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation. Again, no remorse or contrition, and he said we can still fix this with couples therapy because apparently I wasn't satisfying his needs. How did he come to that conclusion? Well, I never independently suggested pony play and give him an avenue to open up about it. This is somehow my fault. I won't go into the arguments that followed, but it ended with me packing a bag and David taking me to my parents' place. I've told Kevin I'll be seeking a divorce, something which he's also in denial about because the marriage is dead. Clearly, he values his time playing dress-up as a horse more than he does me as a person, so I might as well let him focus on that. I'm staying with my parents right now and taking some time off work until I can clear my head. Can't sleep, so I figured I might as well try and get this out of my system. It has helped, honestly. I'm also currently no contact with Kevin, and it'll be staying that way until I can serve him papers. Who knows what the future holds there, but he won't be in it. Though if he wanted some good news, I'm finally joining the Order of Eastern Star. David explained to me I can join via my grandfather, so I'm going to be meeting with the secretary next week. Thanks for being on this wild ride and helping me see reason. I guess I would probably have got here anyway when the worshipful master messaged me, but it was nice to know I had people on here, and especially those who talked it through with me in DMs. You guys know who you are and you were awesome. Otherwise, have a great day and peace out.